Hi everyone, Kendall here with Lousy Llama Creations, here with Peanut and Cashew sleeping in the back. Today we're going to be crocheting a cow. For materials, you're going to be needing white yarn, pink, black, and gray, all in medium weight for worsted. You're also going to be needing a 5mm crochet hook, scissors, stuffing, tapestry needles, stitch markers, and 10mm safety eyes. This is a beginner-friendly pattern, so I'm going to walk you through everything. I'm even going to show a clip from a different video in the beginning on starting your piece, just because I wanted to make sure I went nice and slow and I covered all the details, because sometimes Peanut likes to be a little bit too involved and then I can't make a crochet tutorial. So you're going to see me using a different color yarn in the beginning, but you are going to start your crochet piece with white. Peanut, you're going to start it with white for the body. Let's jump right into the video. We're going to start with our yellow yarn, and we're going to start by making a magic ring or a magic circle. It's the same thing. I'm going to take my crochet hook. I have my yarn. This is our tail, our dead end, the end of your yarn. This is the yarn that's attached to the ball or the skein. You're going to take it and wrap it around your hand to form an X. You're going to hold it in the middle. Hook goes under, then over, and we're going to scoop this underneath. Just like that. We're going to twist it up and pull it off our hands. And then do this thing called a chain, which is when we pull our yarn through our loop. So I'm going to put the yarn on the crochet hook and pull through. And that's our magic ring. But let me show you again. I have my tail, wrap around to make an X, hold in the middle, under, over, pull through, twist up, and then do our chain. We're then going to make 6 single crochets in this loop. Our single crochets are one of the smallest, most basic stitches of crochet. You'll find it in tons of the stuffed animal or amigurumi patterns. Crocheters love single crochets. To do one, you're going to insert your hook in the middle of the loop, yarn over, which is when we place the yarn on top of the hook, pull through. So we have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again, and then pull through both loops. And that's 1 single crochet. So again, I'm going to go through the middle, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops, and that's a second. Through the middle, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both. That was stitch 3. So I'm going to do 4, 5, and 6. Each stitch is this little V, a little oval. Can't see it too well on the sides. If I pull it apart a little bit, you can see that's a stitch. I'm going to take my tail and pull it so that it actually forms this cute little ring. And now we have the start of our crochet piece. These are our stitch markers, which are like little clothespin, safety pin looking things. Safety pins, not clothespins. Look at things. We're going to attach it into the last stitch that we made, that V. Close it up. This is going to help us find the beginning and the end when we're working in our rounds. Because we're going to be working in a spiral, so we're just going to keep on going around and around and around. So this will make sure we know the beginning and the end of each round. Our magic ring with the 6 single crochets, that was 1 round. So now we're going on to round 2, which according to our pattern says increase 6 times. An increase is just 2 single crochets next to each other. So we have 6 stitches. At the end of round 2, we should have 12. So we're going to put 2 stitches in each of the 6, so that we have 12. So we're just doubling it. I'm going to insert my hook into the first stitch that we made. The first one's always a little tight. It's not you, it's the crochet piece. Just kind of wiggle, stick it in. I'm going to yarn over and pull through. Yarn over, pull through again. So I have 1 single crochet. Before we move on, I'm going to stick my crochet hook in the same stitch and do another single crochet. So now we have 2 in 1 stitch. I like to picture it like a little flower, so we have like a small beginning, but then we want even petals on the side, so it kind of gets bigger evenly. I'm going to move to the next stitch. Again, I'm working in a spiral, so I'm literally just scooting over and do another increase. So that's 1 single crochet, and then in the same hole, doing a second. And then I'll do that again. And again. Moving over. I'm in my last one, and this is my cat Cashew. He likes to help with videos sometimes. I'm sure his sister Peanut's gonna help too. I'm gonna take out my stitch marker. I'm gonna do our increase. And then I'm going to put the stitch marker back in to the new end of the round. So we're kind of moving it up each time. And now we have this small little circle, which is round 1 and round 2. You should have 12 single crochets at the end of this round. And you can count them by looking at those V's. Grab my tapestry needle. So like that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do this all the way around, so you have 12. The next round, round 3, it says we're going to do a single crochet and then an increase. And there's a comma in that bracket, which is important. So in the next stitch, we're going to do 1 single crochet. And then we're done with that. In the next stitch, that comma means we're moving over. We're going to be doing an increase, which is again those 2 single crochets. So this repetition for the round is a little series of 3. 1 and then an increase. Or in my head sometimes I'll say double. So 1 and then a double. And we're going to repeat this. So the next stitch we're going to do 1. And then the next stitch a double or an increase. And we're going to do this for the whole round. So 1 and then a double. One, then a double. And I know I'm crocheting fast. Hey, I've done it since I was 14 years old. Don't forget, 1, pause this video. I will still be here for you. As well as that in the corner, the little gears button, you can change the speed. So yeah, I'll sound a little funny, but you can watch me slow down these stitches and it might be a little easier. You can see at the end, I removed my stitch marker, did my last increase, and then I'm going to put it back. And our circle's getting a little rounder, a little bigger. You can tell it kind of curls up a little bit. That's okay. That's normal. No biggie. If it's curling up a lot, you might have messed up the pattern a little bit. You might have put too many increases. So you might want to take it out and kind of make sure you're counting. At the end of this row, you should have 18. Another thing to remember, this is our tail from that very beginning magic ring. This is the inside. So if you're looking at it and you're like, mine's kind of ugly, my stitches aren't clean, this tail's in the way, what am I doing? Boop, just turn it around. If you followed my tutorial for my crochet plants, a lot of people will show me their crocheted pot and they'll be like, hey, mine's ugly and it doesn't sit weird and it sits super weird and it's off. And then I'm like, flip it inside out. Boom. They did amazing work and they did it right. You just gotta flip it around. Next round, you're gonna start seeing a pattern here. It says 2 single crochets and then an increase. So single crochet 2 is different than an increase. So we're gonna do 1, 1, and then an increase. In newer crochet patterns, as in the past 10 years, you'll notice the word increase. Sometimes people use 2 single crochets instead. I find that confusing. If you follow any Lousy Llama crochet patterns, I will always say increase versus single crochet 2. If I'm saying single crochet 2, I mean 1 and then 1 and then an increase. Well, let's not get confusing here. So we're going to do 1, 1, and then an increase. One, 1, and then an increase. And we'll do this for the whole round. One, 1, increase. One, 1, increase. 1, 1, take out the marker, increase. And then put it back in. And now we have a bigger circle. Again, you can see mine curving a little bit. That's okay. The next round, we're going to be 3 single crochets and then an increase. So we're going to do 1, 1, 1. So 1, 1, 1, and then an increase. And we're going to do this for the whole round. 1, 2, 3, increase. 1, 2, 3, increase. And if you're wondering, yes, this is what I'm thinking in my head when I crochet pieces like this. So while I'm talking right here, back in my mind, I'm like 1, 2, 3, increase. And that's kind of how I'm keeping track. You don't have to count that big total number of stitches unless you want at the end of each round, but you don't have to keep that in your mind. There's my increase. So yeah, crochet is a lot of counting, but it's usually nothing too high, at least for my crochet patterns. Boom. All right, now I'm back showing on the cow and showing on white. For the next 14 rounds, we're just going to place 1 single crochet in every single stitch. So no increases or decreases or anything like that. I'm simply going to do my increases, my single crochets. I'm really just going to go around and place 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 in every single stitch. instead of having my stitch marker in the actual stitch, I like to move it to the side of the stitch when I'm doing long rounds of single crochets, just because it makes it a little bit easier so I don't have to keep on moving my stitch marker up every time. When you're doing those rounds with the increases, it's really important to get the exact counts, but when you're doing these, the start and the end of the stitches doesn't matter as much because we're keeping the same stitch count at the end of the rounds. So it's going to stay the same size no matter what. And I'll show you what I mean when I get to the end of our first round. All right, so I'm coming up. I'm just gonna keep on going. We're working in a spiral, so I just literally keep on stitching. I do 2 more. And see? Now when I count my rounds, I'm gonna go, this will be my first one, and then I need 13 more for a total of 14. So go ahead and do 14 rounds of just single crochet, and then I'll show you how we finish it off. I have all 14 rounds. I'm going to move my stitch marker back up. But before we continue crocheting, we're actually going to add the eyes because it's going to go in this area. So even though we don't have the nose yet, you can kind of picture a cow nose, this area. So I like to place in my eyes. And we'll kind of look at it, play around with it. So we'll say, are those too close? Are they equal? They're not equal. So let's move this guy out. Oh, maybe they were equal. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now they're equal. He looks kind of like Thomas the Tank Engine kind of vibes right now. But I like it because the nose will go like right here. Yeah, okay. So now we can add our backs. And the backs, these are the little washers that go on them. You just put it on and kind of push through. Just like that. Sometimes you can hear a clicking noise. If not, you just kind of feel it. Oh, that was a good clicking noise. I bet the camera picked that up. Okay. I'm gonna put my crochet hook back in. This is my inside tail for my magic ring. I'm just gonna tuck it inside, get it out of the way. My stitch marker's back up, and now we need to decrease. So to get this area, we did increases. We're basically just gonna do the opposite. If an increase is 2 single crochets in 1, a decrease is 2 single crochets in 1. We're like combining 2 stitches together. And we're going to match the same pattern. So our last increase was 3 single crochets increase. So we're going to do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. And now we'll do our decrease. To do that, we're going to insert our crochet hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, just like the beginning of a single crochet. But then instead of finishing it off, we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch. We're currently in 2 stitches. Yarn over, pull through. So you have 3 loops on your hook. Then you'll yarn over and pull through all 3. And we just combine 2 stitches into 1. So again, we're going to single crochet 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll do our decrease. We'll insert, yarn over, pull through, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, so you have 3, yarn over, pull through all 3. And we're going to repeat this for the whole round. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease. 1, 2, 3, and and decrease. One, two, three. I'm a little tangled. There we go. Decrease. And then 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take out my marker and decrease. Putting the marker back in. And we finish that round. For the next round, it's very similar. We're going to do 2 single crochets and then a decrease. So we'll do 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and then our decrease. Two single crochets and a decrease, all the way for the whole round. 1, 2, decrease. I think sometimes decreases are a little difficult for beginners, and the biggest advice I can give is to pull tight. Because we're combining 2 stitches together, sometimes it gets a little loose like that. So we just want to make sure we're pulling tight, just so it all stays together, because we don't want our stuffing to show as much as we can avoid it. But again, we're beginners. Right now, your goal is just to close the cow. And I don't care how you do that. If it's a little messy, okay, no biggie. That's why we're learning. Do our decrease and put our marker back in. Our hole is certainly getting smaller, so I want to grab my stuffing. I'll open it up. And pull some out. We're not going to be needing all of this, but I am going to pull it apart into little clumps and start placing it in my cow body. I think pulling it apart into small clumps and kind of placing it individually creates the fluffiest look we can possibly get. And it also uses less stuffing, so you can save the stuffing and use it for your next project. I'm going to place it in so he's nice and full and very round. Because right now it looks like a worm. Like the sandworm from like Beetlejuice. That's what it looks like. Keep on going. I'm stuffing him probably more full than I would a normal project, just because I want the cow to be round. I think that's the best looking cow. So I'm almost overstuffing him. Cool. I am now going to do my next round, and then we'll probably add some more stuffing. But this will get us started. Put my crochet hook back in. You might have guessed what the next round is going to be. It is going to be 1 single crochet and then a decrease. I'm going to shove my stuffing a little bit more, just so I try not to pick it up when I do my stitches. So we'll do 1 single crochet and then our decrease. And we'll do this for the whole round. One, our decrease, 1, decrease, one, decrease, 1, decrease. I'm going to take out my marker, or we could set it aside. We're not going to use it for the last round. Do 1 more single crochet and then our decrease. Now this is your last chance to stuff, because we're going to be closing it after this. So I'm going to put some more in his booty, so he's a little more round in the back. That looks good to me. Our last round is 6 decreases. It can get a little difficult just because the stitches are so tight. So if you skip a stitch or you have extras at the end, that's okay. When we close it up with our yarn and needle, you'll notice that it just doesn't really matter. So I'm going to try to do 6. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, it's getting small, 5, I think I can do the last one. There we go, and 6. Kind of gonna play with the stuffing just a little bit more. I'm gonna cut my yarn, leaving a nice tail for us to work with. We'll fasten off. To do that, we're basically just gonna pull our loop through, so it's not a loop anymore. And then I have my tapestry needle, and I want to put it, my tail, which is this yarn, on my needle, and we're going to close up the bottom. There's 100 different ways to do this. The way I like to do it is a cinch closure of I'm going to go through my last 6 stitches and then pull tight. But you can go across and kind of crisscross it and pull tight, whatever you need to do. But I like to do it this way and tie a knot at the end. Cool. We don't just want to cut our yarn because then our piece will come apart. We're going to weave in our ends, which is when we're going to stick our tapestry needle right by our tail and poke out anywhere that's white. And then we're going to cut the yarn and kind of rub our tail in. And now we have a body of a cow. That certainly does not look like a cow. I think he needs some more parts so he'll finally look like one. The next piece I'm going to do is his nose. So I'm going to take my pink yarn. I'm going to start with that magic ring again. You can go ahead and go to the beginning of this video if you want a slower step-by-step of how to make our magic ring. But I'm just going to make it real quick here. Do our chain 1. And then just like the beginning, we'll do our 6 single crochets into our magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And pull tight. And get our little magic ring. The next round, just like the beginning of the cow, is going to be 6 increases. I'm just going to keep in track in my head because I don't want my stitch marker in the way right now. But this is exactly the same way we started the cow. We're going to do those increases, which is 2 single crochets in 1. So 1, 2, go to the next one, 3, and 4, next one, 5 and 6, next one, 7, 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. For the next round, you can use a stitch marker, or you could just keep track in your head. I think it's a little easier sometimes just because it's so small. But the next round, we're going to single crochet 12. So just 1 single crochet in every single stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We're going to do just one stitch called a slip stitch. Notice when we work in our spiral, our rounds aren't flush. They aren't like that. You could see this kind of pikes up. So we're going to do one slip stitch, and the next one just kind of even it out. I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch. I'm going to yarn over, pull through, and then pull through again. And now our rounds are a little bit more even. I want to cut a tail because we're going to use this for sewing. I want to cut, and I'm going to fasten off. I'm going to grab my black yarn, and I'm just going to cut a small-ish piece. Put it on my tapestry needle and stitch those two lines, those little, like, I don't know, nostrils. I'm going to start from the back, just like that. I want to do 2 layers just because I want it to stand out a little bit. And then we'll do a second one over here. Just like that. And if I take my body, it's just going to go right there. On the back, I'm going to tie a square knot of my black yarn. Don't pull too tight because you don't want it to come undone. Or, excuse me, you don't want it to tighten your stitches. But you also don't want this to come undone. So I just kind of tie a square knot in the back, and I'm going to trim it so it's out of the way when we sew. You can also trim this middle pink piece. If it's easier, just don't do it all the way at the base because we didn't tie a knot. Give it a little bit of room. Just like that. Now we can even sew to the cow right now. So I'm going to put my pink on my tapestry needle. I'm kind of going to hold it in place, and I'm just going to stitch. Just like closing the bottom of the body, there's 100 different ways to do this. And I want you to do whatever's easiest for you. Because right now, we're just kind of focused on making sure our pieces don't come apart. I go through the pink to the white and then back up only through the pink. But that's just my preference and what I prefer. It gives it a clean look. You can do whatever you like. If you're familiar with embroidery or felt work, this might be super easy for you because you're used to sewing on pieces. But I'm just going to go around. You can add a little bit of stuffing if you like. I don't like doing that for the small pieces just because I have a hard time keeping all the stuffing inside. It usually shows a little bit. And I don't like it showing. I would rather have a cleaner look and like a little bit of a flatter nose. But it's your preference. That's what's so cool about crochet, specifically my beginner patterns, is that it gives you a lot of wiggle room to kind of figure out what you like and what you don't and what's easier and what's not. I'm almost done going around. There we go. Just a few more. You can see I poked through one of my strands of yarn. It kind of looks messed up. Don't worry, that's a super easy fix. With my scissors, I can just poke it back down. I want to finish off my pink, doing one more, and I'll poke out of the body. And even though I prefer to stick it in the same color, this will be a little easier and give us a little bit more room. You can see the pink, just kind of shove it down, and now it's gone. And that's how we made our nose. So I'm going to take my gray yarn, and you might have guessed it, we're going to start the exact same way we've started all of our pieces. That beautiful magic ring with our chain 1 and then 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm then going to tighten it. And even our next round is the same. Our next round is 6 increases. So our 6 stitches are going to become 12. I'm going to keep track in my head. Move my tail out of the way. Do 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, 7, and 8, 9, and 10, 11, and 12. We're going to do something a little different for the next round. We are going to place 6 single crochets in our stitches to make our feet a little taller, but we're just going to place it in the back loop only. So on our stitch, we have a front loop and a back loop. This is the front, this is the back. Normally when we crochet, we go through both, but for the back loop only, we're just going to go in this back loop. And we're going to do 12, so I'm going to keep track in my head, but if you're worried about it, put your stitch marker in. I'm just going to insert my hook from the middle of the stitch into the back and do a single crochet, just like normal. That was 1. Our second one, same thing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And we finished a foot. You can do that one slip stitch again if you'd like. So I'm going to insert through both loops again, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through again. And now we have this little foot. We'll leave that tail for sewing. Cut and fasten off. I'm going to trim the middle just so it stays out of the way when I sew. You'll have to make 4 of these feet, but I'm going to show you how to sew it on. I'm going to put my needle on. I hold it where I want it to go, and just like sewing on this, you can do whatever you want. I like to do gray to white, back down to gray, but you do whatever you'd like. But I'm just going to go all the way around. Again, you can add a little bit of stuffing or not. I find it works either way for this design. Because our feet are so small, it's not really necessary. almost to the end. I think one more. There we go. And I'll poke out somewhere white. You don't want it tight like this, so I'm going to pull it out before I cut my yarn. And then trim it. He's still kind of a naked cow because he doesn't have his spots, but now he has little feet. You're going to make 2 ears, and they're super easy now that you've mastered the magic ring. You're going to start it the exact same way we started all the pieces. Magic ring, our chain 1, and 6 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Tighten. And the next round is also the same. You're going to be doing 6 increases. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. And that's it. We'll leave our tail for sewing. Fasten off. And then sew our little ear. I kind of like to pinch mine a little bit, so I'm kind of going to sew it like this versus sewing like this. Kind of depends what animal I'm doing is how I sew on ears, because I do them pretty similar to this most of the time. I like to line it up based off the eyes. If you don't like holding and sewing, you can also use straight pins. That usually helps stick things in place a little bit. I like to make my little amigurumis kind of whimsical, not exact, so if my ears are uneven, I think it kind of adds to the character of it. But if you want everything super even, I would definitely recommend pinning it somehow. Okay, and I'm going to go through the gray, so it kind of has that pinched look. Through the white again. That's pretty secure. Poke out. I'm going to stick the other tail, which was from our magic ring, into the body as well. Cut those tails. He needs a second ear, but you can start to see it's sort of looking like a cow now. But I think he needs his spots. We're going to do a new stitch when we make our spots. We're going to be making 3 to 4, kind of depending on how much room you have. You could add a whole bunch of spots if you want. I think I'm only going to do 3. I'm going to start with my magic ring. I know, shocker, shocker. Our chain 1, and then 6 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But here is where it gets different. We're not going to do 6 increases. We're actually not going to do increases at all. Each stitch of our 6 is going to be a little different. Our first one is just a single crochet. Easy peasy, you know how to do that. But our next stitch, I know black yarn is a little hard to see. It's right here. It's going to be a half double crochet, which is a little taller than our single crochet. I'm going to yarn over before I insert my hook. Insert my hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. So you have 3 loops on your hook. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3. That's a half double crochet. In the next stitch, we're going to do a slip stitch, which was when we insert, yarn over, pull through, and pull through again. The next stitch, we're going to do 3 half doubles all in the same stitch. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, so you have 3, yarn over, pull through all 3. Don't move to the next stitch. We're going to still be working in the same one, which is right here. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3, and then one more time, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. And then in the next 2 stitches, we're going to slip stitch. So 1, and then in the next stitch, a slip stitch. And you kind of get this little irregular looking shape, and I think that's perfect for our little cow spots. So I'm going to cut some yarn, fasten off. I'm not going to trim the one behind it. Sometimes I do, but I'll probably just weave it in like we did with the ear. You can place your spots wherever you would like them. I do recommend putting on the feet and the ears first, just so you can kind of place your spots accordingly. I'm going to take my other tail out of the way, hold it where I'd like, and then just sew exactly like you've been doing. And this one's flat, and I think that's easier because I can kind of hold it with my thumb, and I don't have to worry about pushing it back out to give it a little bit of shape like I do for the feet. I'm just going in and out, giving him some spots. Black yarn sometimes it's a little hard to see where my stitches are, so I just poke through because it doesn't matter if it's exact. All right, I think this is my last one. I'll do one more and poke out. I'm gonna poke out the bottom this time. And then I'll do the same thing with that other tail we have left over. Cut. It shows, so I'm going to poke through with my scissors. Now he has a spot. He definitely needs more, but let's do our tail. Tail is super easy, but we're going to start it a different way. We're going to start with a slip knot. I'm going to take my tail, twist, and pull through. Again, twist, pull through. Insert my hook, and then we're going to chain 8. So that yarn over, pull through. 1, yarn over, pull through. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's it. Cut our yarn, fasten off. I'm going to make sure it's nice and tight on both ends. And I'm going to sew it to the back. This is the bottom. If your closure was a little messy, no biggie. This will kind of hide it anyway. And these are a little harder to sew, but really I think you just get to be a little bit more creative. But I'm going to pull really tight, probably more than I do for my other pieces. And just like that, that's it. It's easy. I'm going to trim this a little bit, and then because it's a cow. I'm gonna like separate the ends a little bit. Just like that. So I still need to make the other ear, 3 more feet, and a few more spots. But that is how we're gonna make our cow. Thank you so much for joining me, Peanut, and Cashew to make this crochet cow. If you want to stay up to date on everything happening at Lousy Llama Creations, I recommend you follow us on TikTok. That's where I post all my new beginner crochet kits. And we have some very exciting holiday kits coming, and I'm just so thrilled to be sharing them. They are coming very, very soon. If you have any questions, please comment down below. If you have one of my crochet kits, please reach out over email and send pictures so I can help and I can assist and I can show you everything you need. Thank you so much for following along. Again, my name is Kendall. This is Peanut, and that's Cashew, and we will see you in the next video. Bye!